Welcome to the video, guys. As you might know, the Remainers out there submitted a bill just the other day to Parliament, hoping to push through a Brexit extension of 2 years. I actually covered both the letters from Ian Blackford that was in the middle of this month and Michel Barnier's response just the other day, saying that he would accept a 2-year Brexit extension. But Michel Barnier, Ian Blackford and the rest of these Remainers are obviously forgetting something very important, and that is they do not have a say on this situation. These to me just seem like more desperate attempts by these Remainers to try and stop Brexit, which once again should fail. And there are reports out suggesting that Britain might not pay the entire Brexit bill, which has caused Barnier to lash out in a spiteful rant that we will also take a look at in a moment. But first, we will take a look at this article from the Express talking about this Remainer bill demanding the 2-year delay to Brexit. Remainers have sparked a furious backlash after trying to sneak through a bill that demands a 2-year delay to the post-Brexit transition period between the UK and European Union beyond December 31st, 2020. We already know about Michel Barnier sending a letter and one going the other way. Both Boris Johnson and the UK's head Brexit negotiator David Frost immediately rejected this and said a post-Brexit trade deal would have to be signed this year. But a summary of a bill posted on the UK Parliament website states one has been put forward in an attempt to push through an extension. This says a bill to require Her Majesty's government to seek a 2-year extension to the implementation period under Article 132 of the Withdrawal Agreement, to repeal the prohibition on agreeing to such an extension under Section 33 of the European Union Withdrawal Agreement Act 2000 and for connected purposes. The next stage for the bill, the second reading, is scheduled to take place on June 12, which should turn out to be a humiliating day for the Remainers. The Brexit Party's Martin Daubeny, who served as a member of the European Parliament between 2019 and 2020, tweeted he had been contacted by a Tory MP who had been left furious. Acting Liberal Democrat co-leader Saeed Davey is trying to force through the bill. Well, what did you honestly expect from these undemocratic anti-British shitweasels? This is what they do. They've been doing it for 4 years. You didn't really think they were actually going to give up, did you? Once we're out, they'll probably still be trying to drag us back into it, though obviously that would be nearly impossible. Mr. Daubeny tweeted, just been contacted by a Tory MP, furious that Lib Dem co-leader Ed Davey is trying to squeeze through a bill that will demand a 2-year Brexit extension. Well, given the people of this country have spoken, it shouldn't even be able to be put forward. What is the Speaker of the House actually up to? He continued, the Remain elite still won't listen to the British public. Expect huge fireworks on June 12th. The private members bill laid by Mr Davey was presented to Parliament last Wednesday, but fury around its demand to extend the transition period sparked renewed fury. One person wrote on Twitter, it's a private member's bill, it won't go anywhere, which is highly likely, though Tory MPs can never be trusted. We see what happened with the 21 Tory traitors last year. How many of them remain in there and still need to be drained from the swamp? Because I would suggest if any Tory MP supports this bill here, we would have to move to have a recall petition sorted out for them, using the Recall Act of 2015, if I remember correctly. The person continued on Twitter though, it plays to Davies' gallery and reminds everyone that the Lib Dems are an anti-democratic irrelevance. Yes, that they certainly are, with their 11 MPs, not the 200 MPs fantasy Prime Minister Jo Swinson claimed she would get, or should I say, was it Chuka the political hooker who said that? Either way, they both run around spouting it for a while, and even put it on a leaflet. A second person tweeted, everything for the last 4 years either has its roots in June 23rd, 2016, or is used to influence the events since the 23rd of June 2016. The day we leave, and leave proper, can't come soon enough. As I covered at the time, it says here, these party leaders had previously written to Mr Barnier on May 15, calling for a 2-year extension to be agreed between the UK and EU. And obviously, I covered the other day that Mr Barnier wrote, the European Union remains determined to build a new and ambitious partnership with the United Kingdom in the short time that is available, given your government's repeated statements that it will not agree to an extension of the transition period, because obviously it cannot. It would be the end of the Tory party as a political force. Look what happened to Labour. The SNP Westminster leader Ian Blackford welcomed the letter from Mr Barnier and called the Prime Minister to accept the offer of a 2-year extension. Well, of course he did. Now obviously, going back to the bill and not the stupid letters that we've already covered and dealt with, it is, as most of you have probably already been screaming, a complete waste of time. An 80-seat Tory majority should make it almost impossible, which is what it says here in this Express article. Brexit plot set for humiliating defeat as Remainers fail to extend transition. Remainer MPs are likely to fall flat on their faces in an attempt to delay the end date of the Brexit transition period, a new poll has suggested. A group of MPs has been slammed by Express.co.uk readers for trying to sneak a bill through Parliament that demands a 2-year extension to the transition, due to end on December the 31st. The plot by MPs during the coronavirus pandemic has been branded despicable by the DUP's Brexit spokesman Sammy Wilson. Express.co.uk conducted an online poll asking readers if they believe the politicians would be successful in their bid to tie the UK to the EU for longer. 95%, 10,103 of respondents said no, while only 5% said yes. Just 88 of the 10,657 readers who voted in the survey said they were unsure about what to expect. The ballot run from 2:50 PM to 8 PM on Friday the 29th of May. Some readers rebuked the Remainer MPs for not accepting the current Brexit timeline. And there you can see some of the tweets. Not a chance, Remain Bill will be humiliated. And here, Dufel says exactly what I am thinking. I look forward to seeing the lists of who voted for this bill, as I'm sure are most of you. One said, absolutely not a chance. What part of we're leaving on the 31st do Remainers not understand? A second said, Britain had already put up with enough Brexit delays, and another would be a step too far. He said, no more delays, and that is kind of obvious. Boris Johnson will look like a prize-winning prat if he delays the Brexit deadline. That is 100% guaranteed. The Express.co.uk readers continued saying Eurocrats pushing hard for more time to strike a trade deal with the UK would do better to sort out their problems at home rather than make Britons wait longer to get on with the post-Brexit future. The EU can't do that because obviously they need our money to continue what they're doing at home. He added, if they are panicking, the problem is with them, not us. They obviously have financial problems, so it's a good job we are leaving. And a third predicted a humiliating end for the bill. They said, not a chance, Remain Bill will be humiliated, as is what I think will happen, though we still definitely need to be cautious because obviously we know the Tory MPs could go against their own government. It certainly wouldn't be the first time. Another reader went as far as to warn that Boris Johnson and the Conservatives would be wiped out at the next election if the Prime Minister asked the EU for a delay. And that is very possible, though I don't really know what would happen because the Labour Party are practically unelectable to most people that I know. I couldn't imagine myself, for instance, ever voting for the Labour Party, that is for sure. They said if the UK sold out its fishermen in a trade deal with the bloc, it would come back to bite them. They wrote, if Boris Johnson extends the transition period, sells out on fisheries, continues with control of ECJ, or adopts a level playing field, both Boris and the Conservative Party is finished, which they will be. Like the Labour Party under Jeremy Corbyn and now Keir Starmer, they would be the laughingstock of the country. And obviously, as things are hotting up and we're getting close to the end of June Brexit extension deadline, the EU, as is reported in this Express article here, that leads on from the panic going around by these Remainers both in the UK and the EU. Because it would appear now that Brussels fears the UK won't pay full Brexit bill. Capitals are asked to plug the black hole. Brussels has begged European Union capitals to offer larger guarantees to the bloc's budget in order to safeguard against a hard Brexit. EU Budget Commissioner Johan Hahn said member states should be prepared to hand over more cash in case Britain does not pay its full Brexit bill. The UK left the EU at the end of January. but agreed to continue paying towards various financial obligations that the country agreed to while still a member. The Office of Budget Responsibility estimated the total financial settlement to be worth $32.9 billion when the UK left the EU on January 31st, which is an absolutely disgusting amount to be given them, I think you would agree. Eurocrats have warned of a vast black hole left in the EU's budget as a result of the UK's departure. Officials have predicted around a £60 to £75 billion gap in the EU's next 7-year budget because of Brexit. EU law states that government can be asked to make a maximum national contribution to the bloc's coffers of 1.2% of gross national income. So the bigger nations up there in the EU are about to get shafted. This is why we had to get out, and quick. A WTO Brexit, in my opinion, is going to be the best thing for it. And especially as it says here, the European Commission has called for a higher ceiling to help repay a proposed £750 billion coronavirus recovery fund, which will see the Brussels-based executive borrow on international markets to raise the cash. Because obviously they are desperate, which is probably why Barnier has started lashing out in yet another spiteful rant. As it says here, Barnier lashes out in spiteful rant claiming Brits struggling to accept Brexit reality, when I'm sure you will all agree it's actually Michel Barnier, the EU, and these worthless Remainers that are struggling to accept reality, as we see with the pathetic Ramona bill that they've put into Parliament to try and delay Brexit. Michel Barnier has continued his war of words with the UK over a post-Brexit trade deal ahead of the next round of crucial negotiations. Michel Barnier has accused the UK's Brexit negotiating team of wanting the best of both worlds by retaining the conditions of being an EU member while leaving the single market and customs union. The European Commission's head of task force and the UK Brexit negotiator David Frost have so far held 3 rounds of talks without making a breakthrough, with discussions resuming next week, and I can't actually see one coming through, to be honest. Which is probably why this arsehole is getting a little bit salty here, and claiming that we cannot accept reality when you all know this is not the case. I'm not even going to bother reading through the rest of it, it's completely pointless. He is just talking an utter load of shit. The EU are struggling to accept the reality that we've actually left, and we want no part of their pathetic courts, allowing them to steal all our fish, or taking part in their pathetic level playing field that has never been heard of in a free trade agreement before. We are certainly heading back towards peak Ramon, guys, as you might have guessed.
Ramon! Ramon!
We are approaching some important moments in the Brexit debate, and it's not over yet. We have to keep an eye out for what is going on, and obviously pray that the Conservatives don't betray us. But the things that I've covered in this video show how desperate the European Union, Remainers in the UK are, and anyone who is against Brexit, as we see with the Dominic Cummings scandal over the last week or so, which was definitely to try and get rid of him and weaken Boris's position on Brexit in the hope of obviously getting this extension through. Now before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.